Hello.
Hello, I got a cake for Mel's
I
birthday,
saw.
and we
Oh, that
gonna
looks good.
sing happy birthday. Yeah.
And it was Jane all day. And I don't even know, like, I feel like I say this all the time, but the amount of notes that I had, like, I pretty much finished my book. This is my, I'm not a lawyer, but book. I basically wrote, these are all notes from today. Like, it was so much. Ooh, a wine tasting. Enjoy that. That sounds amazing. Yeah, so I'm not even going to be on here forever because we do have some plans to eat, and I'm excited to do that. And then I will, do the things I do later. No, Jane Doe is not going to. Oh, there's no plate or anything.
It don't always come from out.
Okay, I will. Okay, this is. Um. So Jane Doe is not done. Jane Doe, we haven't even gotten to cross yet for Jane Doe. She's going to be on the stand until next Thursday. They're a long way from being done with Jane Doe. So no. And I don't even know where to begin. One of the things I will say, apparently there's been some ongoing issue with Diddy's ability to call his attorneys from the jail. Something about his account is not working. And when they first said this, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like they should fix that, whatever. It's been going on for like 3 or 4 days now. And he be at the chair like being all dramatic. And so now I just feel like he lying or he don't know how to work the phone. Cause the judge made an order to the jail that was like literally yesterday, I think. Fix his phone. He needs to be able to talk to his attorneys, fix his phone. The judge came in today, like they got back to me and told me that they did a whole check. They redid, it is checked that he has minutes. They told me it is fine. And they were like, and he's back there like, I couldn't call today. And so I was like, can somebody go to the phone with him? Because now I just think he's lying. I think somebody should go with him, do whatever they need to do, put it in there, and then actually do it. Because I don't think he's telling the truth. So, uh, yeah, that was the first thing that happened. And then Jane was called back. And I think she had the same outfit on, actually. It's like a burgundy outfit. And this is what I need to like process in my brain. What I would even like, how would I get through all the testimony? Because it was hours and hours of testimony. They started off with her talking about protection again, because the very first night she had a hotel night. I was going to say freak off, but she refers to them as hotel nights. She wanted condoms and he was basically saying no, but then eventually he gave in. But after that, anytime she would ask for condoms, he would be like, they get tested like all the time. Like, what are you tripping for? You don't know. And then he was like, basically from his perspective, as he's watching, he don't want to see no rubber. Like it takes away from the effect. So he was like, girl. So they played this video because he records all the hotel nights and freak offs. They played this video we could hear, but we couldn't see. Obviously, they don't show us anything, not even pictures, anything. So we hear this video of him being like, she asked it was very muffled, very hard to hear, but she asked the entertainer for a condom. And she's like, I think it's on the chair. And so the entertainer's like, let me look for it. And so you hear kind of like some rustling. And then you hear Diddy's voice, because he's very distinct voice. We heard a couple of voice notes from him today to Jane. It's really weird. Anyway, in the video, he comes in and he's like, because he was watching in the back. And so he sees them like not, performing. So he comes in like, what y'all doing? Y'all messing up the vibe. What are y'all doing? And they're like looking for a condom. And he's like, you need to chill out with all that. Why are you looking for a condom? And then she said, because they had a conversation about it. So Jane says to him, you promised that the next time we did this, that they could wear a condom. And he says to her, you were just taking that dick fine. And then as he's leaving the room, he's like, if you don't go over there and start touching yourself. Oh my God. That was, and he's kind of laughing too. It was a lot. It was a lot. And then Jane cries a lot. Let me also say that she cries a lot on the stand. So the prosecutor said, also break, the prosecutor who is handling this testimony is James Comey's daughter. Okay. James Comey being the former director of the FBI who, had all the, I think who hates him? Trump. I think Trump hates him. Did he get resigned? Something happened, but you guys know James Comey. It's his daughter. Her name is Maureen Comey. She's good. I like her. I think she's good. I do. Thank you very much for this.
Him and his brother was
Who?
stealing tax money, the Como dude.
I'm not talking about Como. I'm talking about Comey. So she's good. And everybody hates him? Oh, I ain't been paying attention then because I thought everybody still liked him. Well, it's his daughter. She's really good. She's doing this she's doing the direct. And did he do jail time? Oh my gosh. This is ruining all my thoughts I had of James Comey. He was not incarcerated or sentenced to jail time. He was formally dismissed from his position by President Trump on May 9, 2017. Okay. So anyway, it's his daughter. And so she asked Jane on the stand, why did you need permission from Sean for the man that you are having sex with to wear a condom? And she says, she's crying. And she's like, honestly, I'm still trying to process that, like why I needed his permission. But then she goes in to say, I didn't want to disappoint. She always calls him either her lover or her partner. That's the way she refers to him. I didn't want to disappoint my lover. He would be unhappy and he wouldn't be satisfied. And then he would be agitated with me. The prosecutor goes over again, kind of like what happened after she would finish with the entertainer, as she calls him. She doesn't call him an escort, but that's really what it is. And so some of this stuff was repetitive. I'm like, girl, we heard about him leaving his juice on her and then Diddy coming and them having sex with the juice. We heard about that yesterday. Why you have to go over that again? And then she started talking about like how many rounds they would have a night. So she was saying that it would be hours. She was like, it would be hours of foreplay, hours and hours. And then it would be hours and hours of sex. And anytime she would try to speed up one of the processes, he would be like, slow down. You moving too fast. Slow down. So she would have to like slow back down and do it for hours as he's watching from this other room. Really weird. She was asked, how did she tell Diddy that she would be tired? And she was saying that she would try to like give him cues. Sometimes she would say like, I'm hungry, or she would start laying down. She would make faces and he would say, you're not getting tired on me, are you? You need to finish strong. So she was like, it's like I could not take a break. I could not be tired, because he would be like, you got this. You got it. Pull it together. And then she always thought she was talking about the ecstasy that she was given, multiple times, and how she always had it. Anytime they did these things, she talked about, she was asked, has she ever cried after any of the hotel nights? And she told two like really sad stories, actually. The first one, thank you for the birthday wish. I just saw it. She said that what happened, and this is going to be really key throughout the rest of the testimony from today, at least the way I'm going to do my video. But she says that the first time she started crying after one of their hotel nights was he had told her that they were going to hang out. It was going to be some one-on-one time. It was just going to be her and him. So she gets really excited and she comes over. And then when they're together, he tells her, he being Diddy, tells her that someone was coming over, and he tells her it's gonna be quick. Somebody's coming over. It's gonna be quick. She said that they ended up going for 18 hours and they did 3 rounds. So 3 rounds. And I think actually, so sometimes when they would do rounds, it would be like one guy that's around, right? So from the beginning of, I have an outfit on, he comes in, we do a little sexy dance, we do a little flirtation, we do some floor foreplay. He really enjoyed making her give the escort oral sex. So she would have to do that for hours, and then it would turn into some actual sex, and then and then she would go into the room with Diddy, and that would be 1 round. Okay, like that whole process. She said that night it was 3 rounds, and it was a different man and then a different man. So it was 3 men on top of like Diddy in between. She said it lasted 18 hours. And she said that when it was finally over, Diddy said that he was leaving. He had somewhere to go. And so she said just inside, she felt terrible. And she was really high. She was like, I was so high because for that long they like re-up during the sessions on the drugs to like keep you high. So she said she felt really terrible, and she felt like trash basically that he was leaving her after he made her do this for 18 hours. She's extra high, promised he was going to spend time with her, and then he kind of like leaves her for trash. And so she felt terrible. She goes into and so she just starts crying, and he's still there as she starts crying, and she's feeling really bad. And he says to her, "Are you crying?" And she said he looked at her disgusted. He started playing music and started smoking. And so she went over to him trying to like show him that like I really need you right now, like your attention. I can't, like I need to go with you. And so he was like, "Fine, you can come to my house with me." Otherwise, I guess she had to go home. So she goes to his house. She goes to his house with him, and then she like spends the day with him. um and so yeah, that was the first story she told. The second story, she said she had taken the drugs, and like she didn't know if it was lace, but basically all ever since she took the drug she had been blacking out the whole night. And so she only remembers like parts of the story, but she was at his house, they had taken the drugs, she started blacking out. The next thing she remembers from going from his house, all of a sudden she's at the hotel. And then she like ran up to his butler for some reason, and embraced the butler. And then the next thing she remembers is she's having sex with one of the she has a number of it. They went through a lot of escorts today, but there were like 3 who were consistent. So there was one named Paul. So she said the next thing she remembers is having sex with Paul in the hotel room. And then she remembers being in the shower with Diddy. And she starts crying because she had been blacking out and she didn't feel well. Because this is not like a Cassie situation where Cassie was like an addict. This woman was not a drug addict and really she had done ecstasy twice on New Year's, like on 2 separate New Year's, but wasn't like actively doing drugs. And so she is freaking out, not feeling good. She's in the shower and she starts crying. And Diddy says, don't do that right now. He said, don't do that right now. I'm so high right now. I cannot see this. You need to stop. Yeah, you need to stop. And I was like, this is heartbreaking. Like it was listening. She's also, like I said, very emotional, but I think today showed me, I can't imagine having been here for Cassie, because I think today showed me the difference in reading reports and tweets, and which is not a bad thing because you're almost removed from it. When you're in the room, this woman is bawling her eyes out. The man she's talking about is sitting right there, and she's detailing 2.5 years of this kind of behavior. It was really hard for me to listen to. I was like, this is a lot. And Christian and Justin were there today. Christian, the younger son, and Justin has been there every day since I've been there. He has been there. Justin and his mom have been there, and his PR lady that I met. They have been there every day. Today was the first time I saw Christian in the courtroom. She also said, typically after a I'm just reading some of you guys' messages. Sorry. Were you able to see if he had any reactions? He's in front of me. He faces he talks a lot. He talks to his attorneys a lot. He writes notes to them, passes notes to them a lot. I also watched every time she came in. I wanted to see if he was looking at her. And he did a couple times. Like he watched as she came in, which I was like, that's scary. That would be freaking me out. Um, yeah. So, yeah. I didn't see a juror hide their face when something was played, because they also today they saw like 10 or 12 pictures of her with different escorts. They just kept like coming on the screen. We couldn't see them, and I was watching the jurors for that to see how they were reacting. My favorite juror, the black woman, she just was looking. There was a man who, oh, maybe this is, it was a man though. The man I saw was looking like his face was like, they all have monitors at their chairs, the jurors, they all have like big monitors. He was facing like this. So I stared for a while because I said, is he not looking at the images? To me, it looked like he wasn't looking at the image. His face was not even like a slant, like he was looking at somebody else's monitor. He was like this. There's an older woman who be looking, I can't tell if she looks disgusted or if she looks annoyed that she's a jerk. Like I can't read her, but she just be like. There was a man who like adjusted and looked, and I said, well, hold on now. Another guy, he looked like he had some, like he was like trying to see like what they doing in this picture. So anyway, those are some of the reactions I was watching. But the courtroom obviously is like very quiet, but everyone is paying attention. Everyone is like clocked in listening to this woman tell her testimony. And a few people who were here for Cassie, I asked, was it like this for her? And they were saying Jane's testimony feels different than Cassie's. A few people told me that. Yeah. A few people told me that. CNN said, "Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody covered their face." They watched a lot of stuff today. They played a lot of stuff for the jurors. We don't get to see. He told the jury that yesterday, and it was brought up in a sidebar. There was a lot of text messages were read today. And here's the biggest difference. Here's the biggest difference and interesting thing between her and Cassie, in my opinion. This woman had made it very clear multiple times in writing, in text, multiple times, she didn't want to do this. The problem I could imagine jurors having is that her actions didn't always align with what she said. And so I get people like, well, she do, whatever. Of course, that's what comes into like coercion and fraud and blah, 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 right? But she said multiple times that she did not want to do this. And what's actually really interesting is what she was clearly longing for. It's so sad. She kept saying, I want time with you. I want just me and you. I just want time with you. I want how it was at the beginning. She literally texted him, I feel like I've opened Pandora's box and I can't close it. Have we gone too far and now you look down on me because I agreed to do this? I just want time. And what started to happen? Well, she wanted him to love her. She said, every time you ask her how she feels about him, she's like, deeply in love. I was deeply in love. She wanted him to love her back, and she wanted a relationship, and he wasn't having a relationship. And so this is what I'm going to say. This is what the prosecution is going for in regards to this victim, particularly this Jane Doe. What they're going for is the definite right, the statute for, where is it? To prove sex trafficking. I thought I had it up. Hold on. So the sex trafficking charge is that you have to prove that Diddy, in this case, Diddy, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, blah, blah, blah. He made somebody engage in a commercial sex act, meaning they had sex and money was exchanged, right? And did it either through force, threats, force, fraud, and coercion, or force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion. Okay, so we'll go with force, fraud, or coercion, right? That's what they have to prove. What they talked about at the end, and what became very clear as you hear the text messages and you hear how she was longing for something in particular, is they're saying for her, the sex trafficking was done by fraud. That's what they're proving with her, because she wanted this relationship, this one-on-one time. And so what would happen is he would tell her, me and you, tonight, me and you. She would go, and then a man would be called. She was asking, so the first time they like ever had a vacation, they went to Turks and Caicos. And when all of this is happening, she's like, I just want to go back to Turks and Caicos because that is like very special to me. It's where we fell in love. That was our first trip. Like, can you please take me to Turks and Caicos? Please, please. She's like begging this man, trying to like get back to this thing. And so what happens is her birthday comes up. He's like, I'm going to take you to dinner. We're going to have birthday. It's going to be great. She ends up going, I think they go to dinner. And then on the way back, he hands her a pill, ecstasy pill, takes her to the hotel, and she has sex for hours on her birthday. So she's heartbroken, but like, whatever, I just agreed because I wanted to like have a good birthday and didn't want to be arguing with him. That's what she says. Apparently, hold on, I don't even know the person who they're talking about, but what she says is like days later, and actually she said on her birthday, so when they're having this hotel night for her birthday, he was like constantly on the phone and talking to his assistants and asking if the food is ready and if the chef is going to be there and all this stuff. And so she started keying in, and so she said, are you taking a trip after this? Like, are you going somewhere? And so he tells her, no, I'm not going anywhere. A couple days after her birthday and this dinner and this hotel night, he takes some woman, I don't know who, I'm wondering if it was Young Miami. He takes somebody on this, he gets a PJ, he decorates the PJ, he takes her and her friends on this this woman's birthday trip. You know how I can figure it out. When is Young Miami's birthday? It was Young Miami. It was Young Miami. It sure was. Nope, it was Young Miami. The reason I know, here's how I know. Her birthday, the woman on the stand, Jane, her birthday is in February, early February. And after Jane's birthday, she sent Diddy a text on February 11th because he was on a trip with this other woman that he had gotten a PJ and had been celebrating. And Young Miami's birthday is February 11th. It was Young Miami. Yep. She never says her name. The woman on the stand never says the person's name. She just keeps referencing this other woman. And so what happened is he goes on this trip. She asked him, are you going somewhere? He says no. And then the next thing she sees on Instagram is these videos, these pictures, this Instagram of both of them on this trip. So she texts him and he takes Miami to Turks and Caicos. So, oh wait, sorry. Did somebody say something? Okay. He takes Miami to Turks and Caicos, and homegirl sees it. So she is heartbroken because she's like, I've been begging you to take me back to Turks and Caicos. And this woman gets all this treatment for her birthday, and you take her to the one place I've been wanting to go. Literally, she's telling him this in the messages. And I get a hotel night for my birthday. That's what I get. And it seems like he was trying to make it about jealousy. You're jealous, you're jealous. And she's like, I'm not even jealous of the woman. I'm jealous of the me time. I'm jealous of the one-on-one time. I'm jealous of the romantic gestures. I'm jealous of the things you're doing for her. And I just get hotel nights. So eventually what ends up happening eventually, he says, let's go to Turks and Caicos. And me and you, it's going to be amazing. And she's very excited to go to Turks and Caicos. She flies to Miami. She lives in LA, flies to Miami where Diddy is. And actually before she even flies, he asks her if they're gonna do you want entertainment tonight? Because she's flying to see him. And she's like, I thought it was just gonna be me and you. And he's like, okay, fine, but we are going to have sex crazy until we leave. And she's like, okay. So she flies in, they do drugs, they have sex, right? They're high as heck and have sex and then take the PJ over to Turks and Caicos. They were so high that she said they didn't even sleep. Like by the time they took the PJ, they hadn't even slept from when she got there. They had sex for hours and hours and they're just awake. And then he tells him, Paul, the person I had mentioned earlier, he tells her, Paul's on the way. And she's like, to Turks? So Paul comes, they have a room, they do the hotel night for hours, like 30 hours. They do this hotel night. And then she said, once they're done, she was excited to be done. They go back, her and Diddy go back to their suite. And she said, when they're in the suite, he's basically like, I want more. And she's like, more? And he's like, let's go back over there. Or actually, they end up calling Paul to the suite and they're trying to do it again. And she's like, I'm so tired. Like, I'm so tired. And he had given her a bracelet. Um, like when they got to Turks, he had given her this bracelet. She said that she loved. And so she ends up taking it when Paul came over and they're trying to do it. And she's like, I can't do this. I'm tired. She ends up taking it and throwing it against the wall and walking out of the hotel room. And she said, Diddy chased after her and was like, what the F is wrong with you? How dare you make me look like this in front of Paul? You need to go and apologize to him. You better apologize to him. So then she felt terrible and she apologized. And the prosecutor, Comey, right? She's like, did he ever apologize to you? I was like, why would you ask that? And she was like, no. No. When I tell you, this was it was like somebody who wanted love so bad that they did whatever. And it was just not being reciprocated. It was really bad. She said the longest hotel night they ever had was 3.5 days. And she didn't sleep. She was awake for 3.5 days, just taking drugs to like stay awake. The shortest one was 12 hours. I said, that's the shortest, baby. The shortest is 12 hours. And to be clear, it's not like, woo, let's lay here and then like get up and do another round. She said her neck and her back would be hurting because he liked certain positions. He liked her to be at like the edge of the bed, giving oral sex for hours of her doing this. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. She said she felt like she was in a hamster wheel that she couldn't get out of. Like she didn't know what to do. So she started writing notes to herself of things she wanted to say, but like would be too scared to say. But she would be articulating, I feel trapped. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. It feels like you're using me. I feel disgusting. She said at times she felt repulsed by herself. Like at the end, she would feel disgusted at herself. that she was doing these things. Um, she felt like the only reason she texts him, I feel the only reason you have me around, and I feel like in regards to the hotel nights, the only reason you have me around is to do this. And where did it go? And it's the reason you pay for the house, because what happened is, right, they ended up having this massive argument. Matter of fact, they had the massive argument about Young Miami's birthday. So they didn't talk for a while. And that was February. So they don't, in 2023, they don't talk for a while because of this birthday thing he does for Young Miami. She waits like a month. Eventually they start talking a little bit, but like after like a month, he does the whole like, let's do a love contract. How much allowance do you want? She says 15. He says 10. She says, I want a house. That's going to be 10,000 and you pay the rent. He says, okay. So after that, she said it's what he hung over her head. Anytime she brought up not wanting to do it or anything like that, and they had text messages that were so like cringy, but like really go to the prosecution's point, because so she had said she said she was high as hell, and she tells him let's have an all-star night where she calls like the top 3 men that they've used, and she's going to call them all over and have this like sex party basically for Diddy to watch. And it's going to happen on the 18th of September. And so she tells him this, and so on the 18th he's like, what's up? And she's like, there's going to be a hurricane. Apparently a hurricane was coming. She also said she thinks she feels really bad. And she thinks her cycle is coming. And so we listened to a voice note of him basically like, you're lying. This is some BS. You're a liar. And I don't do liars. What's wrong with you? Like, then he said, is something wrong with your vagina? Because I think you're just lying. You must got something going on. I said, oh my gosh. And so she's like, no, like I really don't feel well. Like I having doing this much drugs, like my body is reacting. I can't do this. And so she ends up getting her cycle. So she sends him a picture of like a bloody tampon to prove to him that she got her cycle. And he is calling her all types of liars. And he's like, you hyped me up, said that this was going to happen. And she's like, I'm really sorry. And I was trying to make it happen, but like, I just don't feel good. So in the middle of this text message, he resends her a text that she previously sent him. She had asked him for more money because she was trying to decorate this $10,000 house that she moved into. And so she asked for more money. So in the middle of this argument, he resends her asking for more money for this house and is basically like threatening her, like, you, what's up with this? You making promises, you not keeping your promises, and goes into like, he wouldn't directly say it, but he was saying it without saying it. And so she says, you're always directing like my livelihood and where I live and like where I am. You're always holding this over my head. And he like, no, I'm not threatening you. It was just very like, this is crazy. This is crazy. And it's everything you're thinking it is, honey. And so she had been writing notes to herself just about that. Like, I feel like I'm locked because he pays my rent. Like, I have to do this stuff. I don't have a way out, which literally goes to the point of the sex trafficking. She also talked about 2 occasions in which she had the hotel night sober. She said she did them sober because she didn't want to do the drugs and she was like, it's too much. She said it was terrible. And actually what happened is she saw what she said, he was so much of an addict that she was like, I want you to get sober. Like, your health is deteriorating. You're getting older. You take so many pills. Like, you should really slow down on the drugs. So he's like, I'm going to be sober for 1 month, but only after we got to have a crazy sex party. And then after the party, you got me. I'm going to be sober for a month. So because she had been trying to tell him to get sober, she had been sober. So she was like, I'm not taking any ecstasy. Like, I'm good. So they go and have this party. She said it lasted 18 hours. He took cocaine. She was sober. There was one guy, then there was a second guy. And after the second guy, she was feeling terrible. She went to the bathroom and throws up in the bathroom. Diddy comes in there and he's like, "Oh, good, you threw up. You're gonna feel better. Like now that you threw up, like you good. So get it together because the third guy is on the way." And she would have to like change outfits and wear. She said she had to wear those really high heel shoes the whole time. And she would and be like when a new guy was coming, she changed, put new outfit, new shoes on. And so he's like, the third one is coming. Like, get it, come on, let's hop to it. So she said she hated it so much. And that's when she said, I was disgusted, repulsed, I was mad at myself, and I deeply regretted it. I deeply regretted it. Um, oh my God. Oh my God. And then she talked about times she had to carry drugs for him. You want to talk about drug trafficking? I'm like, where's the drug trafficking charge? She literally trafficked drugs. She said she went to, he told her to go somewhere, pick up a package of drugs. KK was like, I do it all the time. Put it in your check baggage. And they wrap it up and it's fine. She puts it in her bag and brings it from LA to Miami. Twice she did this. Twice. She actually said today, this is an interesting question. She said that her one requirement, which again, this is what the defense is going to play on, because it's like, if you were under so much coercion, control, force, how do you get to have rules? She had a rule, which is that none of the entertainers could do drugs. That was her one rule. They could not do drugs because she said, I didn't feel comfortable not knowing how these men would react on drugs and they're on my body. I didn't feel comfortable with that. And so we could be high, I could be high, Diddy could be high. The entertainers could not do drugs. Um, and then what ended up happening, so at the beginning, because this was all him, he was scheduling all the entertainers, right? He's the one who would be like, somebody's on the way. And eventually, what she said is she hated not knowing who was coming. Like, he would just be like, somebody's on the way, and she would be surprised as to who it was. It could have been a guy she never met. It could have been a guy they used before. She was just constantly surprised. And so to get some kind of control over it, she said they had been watching a porn repeatedly, a specific porn repeatedly, and this porn star's porns repeatedly. And so she was like, what if I reach out to him? And so Diddy's like, he takes it, the way she said, he be saying stuff like, oh, because you want that? You want that on you? You want that in you? Oh, you want that? And so she's like, yeah. And so she's like, I bet I can DM him. So she DMs him. And it's this guy from Atlanta whose name was Cabral. Cabral. I can't remember how to pronounce it. Anyway, his stage name was Sly. He responds and say they agree to meet up someday. But then Diddy's like, FaceTime him right now. So they get on this FaceTime and she has screen mirrored her phone to the TV. And so homeboy on the phone doesn't know Diddy is there, but they're FaceTiming and they start like having phone sex, showing each other, playing with each other, like doing whatever on the FaceTime. And so Diddy is there and enjoying himself as this was all happening. And so then they agreed for him to come out. So he gets flued out from Atlanta to Miami. And that was the first time they had a hotel night with a man that she picked. And so she said anytime Diddy would bring up having a hotel night, she would try to suggest this guy because she felt comfortable with him. She was like, thought he was an attractive guy, and she started to get like familiar with him. And so she wanted it to be like consistent. And at the end, he would get paid anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000. And then another guy she found, they had been watching more porn. and his name was Anton. And so she reached out to him on Instagram as well. They exchanged numbers. He was in LA, which she said they liked because instead of having to fly homeboy from Atlanta, this guy was local, so she could just call him whenever. And so they started using him also. And so those were like her two main guys. There was this guy, Paul, that like came from Diddy, but then there was this Anton, and then there was this guy whose stage name was Sly that she used. Um, uh, moving on. Oh, so what started happening apparently is anytime Sly, well, Diddy would be like, text Sly some like slick stuff. So she would text him like, "Oh my gosh, I'm horny. I want you," at the direction of Diddy. And so they would engage in like this sex talk. That they would have a FaceTime. Diddy would watch. It would be on the screen. Like they would do that whole thing anytime he wasn't like in town. But what would happen is Sly would start texting her pictures of his penis or like, "What's up? I'm thinking about you. I'm trying to, get down," type stuff. And she would be like, "That's really nice. Have a good day." So the difference in the text messages when she was apparently around Diddy versus when she wasn't was very interesting as well. It was very clear because she would be very explicit with her words and like, kind of inviting and enticing. And when she wasn't with him, she would be like, "Thanks for sending your very nice dick pic. I hope you have a great Tuesday." Like it was not the same. Um, she told a story about a guy so a few times apparently Diddy would call these men. So when she wasn't setting it up, he would call these men. And there was one guy that she said she just wasn't attracted to and she was repulsed by him. Literally, she said, "I tried to let him touch me, but I was like disgusted. So I tell Diddy, like, I need to talk to you." So they go to the back room and she's telling Diddy, like, I can't do this with him. And Diddy's like, "Try again. Like, are you sure you can't? Like, let's try again." So she goes back out there and she's like trying to let him touch her. She's trying to see if she can like muster through it. And she basically says she can't. She tells Diddy again, like, "I'm so sorry, but like this is something I cannot do." And so Diddy gets mad, he gets agitated. Um, and so the man Diddy's like, "Okay, fine, we can excuse him." So he gets excused, and she's thinking they're about to like chill. This nigga Diddy calls another man over, calls a whole other man over. She still had to do a hotel night. Yeah. Another guy, she said he was just weird. Um, and so she couldn't get with him either. And so every time she would like not do what he was expecting, she would be trying to tell him like, I'm tired or I'm not feeling it or like, can we not? And he would be like, "Okay, he could go, like, next one's on the way. New outfit, run it again." And then here's an example of when he said he invited her to New York. So Diddy was like, "Come to New York. I'm out here." And she says, "I don't want to go because you're going to try to set me up with somebody." And he's like, "Nah, bruh, I ain't going to do that." So she goes out. They end up having a romantic night. She said she was excited, feeling good. Or no, actually, she was excited because he said, "We're going to have a romantic night. Come out to New York." When she's on the plane, she taps into the Wi-Fi. And when she taps into the Wi-Fi, she get a text from Diddy as she's on the plane heading to New York, after he told her, "Just me and you." She's on the plane. He texts her, "You want some entertainment tonight?" And then she's like, "Bruh, that's not what you said." And he's like, "See you at the hotel." Basically. Um, there's another time she was in New York. Oh, they showed this pic. I was peeking because the attorneys have monitors, and sometimes when the exhibits are shown, they show on the attorney's monitors. So I positioned myself so I could like see the attorney's monitors because I wanted to see some stuff. And so she took a picture. She was at the Trump Hotel. Diddy said, "We're going to have dinner when you get here." She ends up waiting in the car for like 40 minutes as he's just like talking to the entourage outside of the Trump Hotel. And so she's like, "I thought we were going to dinner. Like, I think that you're lying. There is no dinner." And so she takes this picture of her sitting in the car out the window. And what she realizes in the picture is crazy because we should look up the Trump Hotel. Let me just show you. I need to like articulate what this looks like. Okay, so imagine this. Hold on. Okay, let me see if I can show this. It's not going to be the best one, but just go with me. So the image that they show on the screen, okay, is imagine that picture over there. She is on. I wonder if I should. Oh, here we go. I can full screen it. Oh, that's not working. Darn it. Hold on. Let me try again. Okay, so literally the angle of her picture is almost like this. Because she's downstairs in the SUV waiting for him as he's just like talking for 40 minutes, and she takes a picture out the window, and it's basically like this, but it's at night. And so there are lights, right? Different hotel rooms have their lights on. So some of the rooms are lit up, and there's one room that's red. Like the lighting, because he liked red lights, the lighting is red. It was so obvious. It was like I was looking at the picture like, that's crazy. Like if you drove by, you would be like, what the hell is going on the 19th floor of the Trump Hotel? Because that room is red, and all the other people who have their lights on, it's regular. It's regular. It was crazy to see that picture. And so anyway, she takes the picture, and in that moment she's like, the assistants are up there setting up a hotel night. We're not going to dinner. We're about to have a hotel night. And I was like, dang. Like, to think you're going to dinner, spending time, this thing that you wanted one-on-one time, thinking you're about to go like have this great evening, and you see what's coming. And it's something that you hate. I can't even imagine like the dread of that, like the feeling of like, ugh. Like, it was sad. It was really sad. Um, yeah. I'm just reading my notes, sorry. Oh, and then I'm trying to see if this was the same night or a different night. At one point she told him, I can't remember what was happening, but she had told him, I can't do this. She was oh, maybe it was the hotel night at the Trump Hotel. And she was telling him, I can't do this. I can't do this. Anyway, he ends up getting mad at her because she's like, she was telling him more than Cassie was like, bruh, I am tired. This is a lot. Like, you tripping. And so anytime she would do something like that, he would say to her, damn, I can't wait to see how you make this up to me. I can't wait to see what you're going to do for me now. As in, like, you messed up my night. You need to make it up. And so anytime that would happen, she would call one of her regulars, like the Sly guy or the Paul or whoever, Anton, to be like, are you available? I need to fly you in because I got to make it up to him because I ruined his night. It was crazy. Okay. I think at this point she goes through all the pictures of all the men. It was a lot of men. They didn't even have pictures of some of the men. That it was so many men that she had talked about. She talked about the kind of things he would tell her, like give instructions when it was happening, how he would be like recording with his phone. When she was asked, did you enjoy having these hotel nights? She said, no. Why did you act like it? Because I wanted to put on a good show for my partner. What is the definition of a good show for your partner? It's hours and hours of foreplay and hours of lots of sex. It also involved fantasy talk, which was like role playing, and he would create like names, characters, and scenarios. And so her and like the escort would have to play into that throughout the night. He also was like, I want you to have your ears pierced. I mean, your nipples pierced, not ears. I want your nipples pierced. So KK set up an appointment for her to get her nipples pierced. She ends up having them for a year, but they kept snagging and bleeding like on her lingerie. And so she took them out. And then he was like, at first he was like, okay, I understand, like you took them out or whatever, because they snagging. But then because she didn't put them back in, he was like, why are my piercings? She said, my. He said, where are my piercings? This is the last time I'm going to see you without my piercings in. You need to put my piercings back in. I said, oh my God. She was constantly getting UTIs and yeast infections. She would get them almost every single week. She barely had time to recover from one UTI before she was having another hotel night and getting another UTI. I don't know when this happened, but the prosecutor asked her if at the end of the relationship he convinced her somehow that he told her, Diddy told this Jane that she never told him that she didn't want the hotel nights, and she never told him how she was feeling. So Jane on the stand is like, I believed him. I believed, oh my gosh, I had never communicated to him that I didn't want these hotel nights. It wasn't until the feds extracted her phone and are showing her these text messages and her notes to herself and the text she sent to him and the voice notes and everything that she's like, I did tell you. I did tell you I didn't want this. I said, what a mind F. He convinced you. You don't even know that you told him. You believe him? Yeah. It was um he was never violent to her, at least not that we've gotten to. She talks about more times there. Her time seems to be right at Young Miami, so they were having a lot of back and forth about the things he was doing. He like sent her like a bunch of roses and like this really sweet card apparently, and she said she could see, like, I guess the picture Miami took was like this long drawn out like these words from him in this card, and she was like, you sent her, and she sent Diddy the picture. You sent her all these flowers in this card, and I guess Jane had a root canal, and he sent her a card that just said love. I said, it just said love. Bro, I would have been pissed too. If I'm like trying to do, you got me out here slutting it out for every man you can find. And this new woman comes along and you write her paragraph long cards and I get love? Love? Yeah. Um Oh, this is the part about her birthday. She got dressed. She thought she was going to have a good night. Ended up being a hotel night. She starts really kind of going back and forth with him about like what's happening and how she's starting to feel like she's just trash. Um, she told him, I don't want to do drugs for days and days and days and then have to do things to fulfill your freaky, wild desires. And then you use me to fulfill your freaky, wild desires. I don't want to do that. I want date nights. I want quality time. I want to travel with you. I want to have I want quality time. Um, um, they have this back and forth because he starts throwing in her face a lot the whole like, I'm paying for where you live, and she's like, I'm tired of you throwing this in my face. And so he's like, okay, well, let's be friends. And she's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you're doing this. Like, I've taken care of you. I've done so much for you. And I'm asking you not to throw this in my face and like not to do hotel nights. And you're telling me that we have to break up. Which again is like, girl. But then after she would be like, okay, I'm off it. Like, I'm done. He would like blow her up, like text her crazy, call her, have his butler call her. Um, so yeah, that was, I mean, I still have like 5 pages of notes after that. It's so much. When she said she didn't want to take drugs, he was like, okay, cool, just drink champagne. Drink champagne instead. He paid for her teeth to get fixed. Well, not to get fixed because they weren't broken, but he wanted her to have new teeth. He was like, I want you to have, I don't like your teeth, so Here's some money to go get veneers. And then KK set up the appointment for her to get veneers. Oh, here's the tea. The prosecutor said, so when you moved in the house, the agreement was what? And she said that he would pay the rent $10,000 for 2 years. And the reason she chose 2 years is because at that point, she had been with him for 2.5 years. And she's like, I have been your sex slave essentially for 2 years. I want you to pay for as long as I've been your sex slave. So let's agree this love contract, you're going to pay for this for 2 years. So when he paid the deposit, he paid everything for this house. The prosecutor says, who pays that house currently right now? She said, Sean does. He does. What? Diddy is apparently currently right now still paying her rent. I don't even know how. How that work? How does that work? Yes, girl, still right now. When I tell you the defense is going to eat her up on that, they are about to eat her up. She like smooth past it, okay? When the prosecutor brought it up today, I was over there like and she was like, next question, like moving right along. Yeah. That was crazy. And then I think that was pretty much it. When we went to before we went to lunch or around lunchtime, her attorney came to the podium saying that she needed to say something on Jane's behalf. Obviously, there's a pseudonym order, and the attorney, Jane's attorney, says that basically the internet is doing everything they can to put her name out and confirm it. And she essentially wants a gag order put in place so that media, YouTubers, Instagrammers, and everyone in here will not be able to talk about the testimony of Jane Doe moving forward because what has been put out obviously caused a frenzy yesterday and harassment for her, and the attorney wants the gag order. So the judge told her to put it in writing. He asked if there's anyone who's been attending the trial that she knows of that released anything. The attorney seemed to imply that somebody released her driver's license. That was an exhibit that was shown. I saw it when I peeked over. I saw when it was on the screen. And so he said, it sounds like you have a belief that someone who's been attending either in here or in the overflow may have released something. So go ahead and put it in writing and I'll address it today. So I may get an alert later about that because that was very interesting. But also I was like, see, we all were talking about how we were like, don't put it in my chat, don't put it in my chat, don't put it in my chat. Like you cannot do that. The attorney also said they are planning to, I forgot the word she used. They have been identifying people because they are looking to do some future enforcement. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like they're trying to go after these people for whoever like released and said her name. So that was interesting. Yeah, that was it. He was, again, very upbeat, talking to everybody, talking to his mama, smiling, doing hearts, doing everything. The jurors, I think, were very alert and attentive. The black lady didn't give me a ton today, but she still was. She's somebody you just naturally look at. And I think that's it. Did I talked about the fraud though, right? I think I did, because that I think is going to be the like through line of the video I'm going to do, because I think what they were really trying to show is that she experienced sex trafficking through fraud, and even her voice. And she wrote a memo to herself, and she didn't send it to Diddy, but she acted as if she was texting him. And so she was like, you're a liar, a pathological liar. Every time you tell me we're going to do something, we don't. And I end up having to do a hotel night. I wish you would stop. Like, basically, right? That's what her note is. And so the prosecutor was like, this shows her state of mind. And basically, in order to prove, listen to this, in order to prove sex trafficking by fraud, the fraud part, you have to prove the victim's state of mind. You have to show that they believe something that was a misrepresentation of the reality. And so these notes prove that she thinks he's a liar and he keeps promising things, and then when she shows up based on the assumption, she said very specifically, would you have gone to Turks and Caicos if you knew Paul was going to show up and you would have to do a hotel night? She said no, which shows you that that was fraud. I was led to believe something, I agreed and acted upon that belief, and then when I arrived I got something else. That is fraud. That is a scam, essentially. And so that is what they're proving. The sex trafficking by fraud is specific to her. I think the threat was for Cassie. I think that they were showing sex trafficking, well, and coercion. I think threat and coercion was for Cassie, but for her, it is very clearly by fraud. And it's because of these misrepresentations that he was giving to her. And then when she would show up, she would have to do a hotel night. I think the case with her is stronger, much stronger, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, but than it is with Cassie. That's my opinion. Okay. I think that was just about it. A few people recognized me today. That was funny. Terry Austin. I don't know if you guys know Terry Austin. She has been on Law and Crime a number of times. She's like 60 effing 7. She looks amazing. I'm getting off. Let me show you this woman who, first of all, come on, headshot. And I mean, I don't even think these pictures do her justice. This lady is so pretty. Don't you agree? You know what I'm talking about? You don't agree? The lady.
Oh yeah. She be wearing the cover over here.
In the morning, right?
Mhm.
She has like gorgeous hair, but none of these are like good. Oh, I can't show you. Well, you guys Google her. Her name is Terry Austin. I first found her on Law and Crime for YNW Melly. She was doing YNW Melly, and I'm like, yo, she's cool, whatever. So I've been out here. Of course, I know who she is. Today, I don't even know why, but it was brought up. People were asking me what's your platform? So I told a couple of people. The lady from ABC was like, I know your stuff. This dude named Big Mike from New York, I don't know, but he was like, I'm not a lawyer, but I use all your. He said, I do recaps off your recap. I said, what? How you recap you see how this is a problem. And then there was somebody else, but anyway, so Terry Austin, after I said I'm not a lawyer, but she was like, oh my gosh, you are her, like I didn't put it together. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So she's like, can we connect? I'm like, girl, I love you. Yes, of course we can. We didn't in that moment. Before I was leaving, she comes back over, and so she's like giving me her, like, I am a lawyer. I don't know if you ever do, like, I'm not a lawyer, but here is a lawyer. Like, if you do something like that, like, I usually do traditional media. I've done MSNBC. She's like naming all the outlets because she is like literally called everywhere. She's like, I only do traditional media, but I really like your stuff. Like, I really like you. Would you ever be interested in like doing something with me? I was like, she's telling me I'm a Harvard grad, Columbia Business School. I'm like, you don't need to tell me your credentials, lady. Are you kidding me? She gives me her phone number, and literally as I'm like, okay, y'all have a good weekend. She's like, call me. I said, oh my gosh. So very dope. I was very excited to interact with her because I think she's really, really dope. So all of that to say, yes, Terry Austin. Thank you. Yep, that's it. That's how you spell it. All of that to say, I am going to go have dinner. I don't know if I'm staying here. I'm really tired. I've been coming to the hotel on lunch break to go to sleep because I've been so tired. And we have kids, so we'll see. Y'all will find out soon if I'm staying another week and if I'm broke. If I stay here and can't pay our bills next month. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Y'all have a great weekend. Happy birthday to me. As of now, I have a flight tomorrow, so I can't get too drunk. Thank y'all, first of all, and thank you for the birthday messages. Thank you for being a part of this Patreon. Thank you for enjoying and supporting my content. I appreciate y'all. If I don't say it, let me say it now. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all the new patrons. I've gotten a ton, which has been amazing. So thank y'all for joining. Joining. I hope you guys have been enjoying these kind of lives. They're very casual, not my typical way, of doing recaps. But I like just chatting with y'all and then like having to do it more structured later. So, all right, bye, bye, bye. I have to go for real. Okay, bye.